Hi friends, welcome back to the channel. I'm really excited for today's episode. Today is a recording that was done inside of the Audacity challenge, which is my 21-day challenge to help you tap into your most audacious identity with the audacious action to match. And a lot of what we're talking about here is really common questions that people have around confidence, whether it comes to how do I know the difference between when I'm self-sabotaging or not, or how do I keep my confidence unwavering, or how do I feel the same about myself despite external circumstances like my bank account, my business, what people think of me. What are the first steps to building confidence? There's so many really great questions here. And so I am answering them for you. And if you haven't heard yet, my new course, Audacious, is officially out, and you can get it for a bonus price and with 2 weeks of bonus coaching included if you decide to join before September 22nd. And this course is genuinely, it's genuinely so special to me, and I really think it is the best thing I have ever created and just far surpasses anything else I've put out there. And really what Audacious is helping you full-time step into the version of yourself who has unwavering confidence, unshakable self-worth, and absolutely unapologetic self-trust. Because when you have those things, what will happen is that you become this version of yourself who audaciously puts yourself out there, who fully goes after what she wants, and really is capable of creating all that you want, whether it's in life, in dating, with your friendships, with your career, with your business, just all different areas of life. And I'm really excited for this because so much of what's in my brain around becoming that version is in this course that's really genuinely never been seen by the world. And I just think it's so, so good. And I'm going to keep saying this over and over, but even just one training inside of Audacious has done insane things for people. So, for example, there's one video in particular that I know has helped one of my clients triple her income just literally on this one video. It's also helped her start taking care of her body again. It's helped her start doing her skincare routine. It's helped her start loving herself and where she is. And she thought that was impossible. There's another video that has revitalized one of my clients' marriages, and she stopped putting things on the back burner and being stressed all the time and feeling like she had to perfect everything in her business and constantly be on top of everything, which really was stemming from feeling not enough. And by solving that, she's been able to make more money, sign more clients, and spend so much more time in her marriage. Other videos have helped clients stop shaming themselves constantly and instead really lean into healthy, supportive, loving self-talk and so much self-trust that she has been able to book out her business multiple times, move abroad, and sign clients that she had on her vision board and do things that were on her vision board that she thought would take years and honestly would never make it off of her vision board. And there's just so many stories like that. And truly, one video can change your life. I really, really mean it. It's so powerful what I've created. I'm so excited for this. And I really hope you join. And so the vibe of Audacious is it's really a bunch. There's over 50 trainings inside. Some are 5 minutes, some are 50 minutes. And they're really, really, I don't know, they just kind of range. So some are definitely short, snappy, meant to like clean up your shit real quick. And some are more of the vibe of, I want you playing this while you get ready in the morning. I want you playing this at the gym. I want you playing this before you go on dates. I want you playing this when you just need to change the frequency in your brain to be more like someone who can be full-time confident, fully have their own back, love themselves, audaciously put themselves out there. And it's really giving you the how of everything. And so in my own confidence journey, I really just felt like I was often left wanting to be confident and feeling like I could, but when it was time to take that first step out the door in the morning, when it was time to enter the room full of people, when it was time to speak up, when it was time to really just own who I was, I couldn't do any of it. And it's because no one was actually telling me the how. They were telling me nice, fancy things. The gurus were giving you, this fancy little advice, but none of it was actually working. None of it was anything that stuck. None of it was anything that actually turned me into the identity, the person, the head-turning, confident person that I really just wanted to be. And so Audacious is that. It's giving you the how of everything. And so this is just going to be such a vibe, such a fun thing. It's going to have meditations in there. It's going to have trainings. It's going to have things for you to walk away with. And so I've shared a couple videos here and there with some of my clients, and they literally have said that they have pages and pages and pages of notes. They were saying that the course should come with a notebook with how much you're going to walk away with. They said they had hand cramps from all the things and that they instantly went and took things away and started implementing. It won't take you going through the whole course or years and years to become this version. It's going to take a couple of videos, a couple weeks. That's it. This course is by far the best thing I've ever created. And I truly, truly, truly hope you join, because it's going to change your whole damn life. You're going to become unrecognizably confident. You're going to have a richer identity. You're going to have a richer bank account. You're going to have a richer life, richer relationships. You're just truly going to be able to become the version of yourself who has everything they wanted, who is everything they've always wanted to be, because of this course. I swear it's that good. And so I'm really excited. If you join before September 22nd, you get a bonus price of $888. It's never going to be this low again. And for the first 20 people who join, there's still spots available for you. For the first 20 people who join, you're going to get 2 bonus weeks of coaching. And what's going to happen in those 2 bonus weeks is I'm going to coach you on anything coming up and getting in your way of you becoming this full-time version of yourself. And you're also going to get exclusive riffs, exclusive content, exclusive coaching, exclusive insight from me and my brain and how I apply these concepts, how I think about these things, to really just put all of this over the edge to make this by far leagues away the best course you've ever had. Yes, it's a course, but it's so much more of trainings and implementable things. And it's so good. It's so uplifting. It's so fun. And you're also going to get monthly confidence calls with this. So every single month, we're going to hop on calls and you're going to be able to pick my brain. You're going to be able to ask me questions around confidence. You're going to be able to submit questions or advice that you're wanting on things on. And it's going to be so good. We also have a Slack community where you're going to be able to celebrate and be celebrated there. And this is just the best thing I have ever made. And so I'm really excited for you to listen to this episode. There are a bunch of questions that I'm answering. We're going to split this into 2 parts. So part 1, part 2, to answer and go through all of the questions. But I urge you to go in the show notes and join Audacious. Again, this is the best thing I've ever created. I want you to be in one of those first 20 spots so that you can get the extra coaching and really just implement this and honestly be a whole new person a month from now. So I hope you join. It will seriously be the best investment you have ever made. This is completely different than anything I've ever made. I'm so excited to see you inside, and let's get straight into some of these questions. This one is, how do you keep your confidence unwavering despite external circumstances? I love this question. We're talking about it in a whole module in Audacious. She said, my confidence, self-worth, self-belief wavers so much depending on my financial circumstances or what's happening in my business. My income dips or a client cancels, I take it personally. I take everything in business personally and make it mean something about me, and it causes me to be mentally and energetically all over the place. This is normal. Let me say that. So this is a good conversation. I'm glad it's being brought here. So thank you. So a lot of clients that I work with, obviously this question is more female founder based. But a lot of female founders that I work with, but honestly, everyone goes through this, where we'll tie self-worth to our business, or we'll tie self-worth to how a partner feels about us, or a number on the scale, or how much we're achieving at work, or what others think about us, and so on. And so whatever case it is, I'll go through the example of clients, but whatever case it is, here's what's usually going on. We will interpret things like events happening in the world. We'll interpret things through the frequency in which we talk to ourselves. And so if I'm sticking with the example of female founders, if we feel beautiful things about ourselves, clients leaving will be a neutral event. Of course we'll be sad. Of course we'll be sad if you love. I'm not saying you won't have emotions, but you'll approach it with more understanding, certainty, and level-headedness because you're already giving that to yourself. Money going down is something none of us ever really want, right? But it's also not a huge deal if it does, if you have a higher confidence, self-talk, whatever, because you have that self-trust and self-belief in your ability to create more. It's very high. So when we're hard on ourselves, and that's how we usually treat ourselves, or we shame ourselves, or we're no longer naturally kind to ourselves. I think everyone is naturally kind to themselves. And so if you're no longer naturally, just because of conditioning, society, whatever, we will interpret that event. So if let's say our self-talk's here and we have an event happen, that can be really, any event is truly neutral. It's just our feelings. We'll interpret, let's say this is neutral. we'll take said neutral event and interpret it down here versus like up here or just neutrally. Let's say we're hard on ourselves, shame ourselves. We will interpret that event much differently. The clients don't like us. They didn't think we were good enough. We weren't worth it to them to invest. We resent them. And so when the money goes down, it takes our self-worth with it because we've tied some part of how we feel to an external or ever changing, metric. So when money goes down, it takes away our sense of certainty. And because we're struggling to provide that certainty for ourselves, we're struggling to also retain that almost like conditional self-belief we had. And so we will interpret things, all events are really neutral, but so we'll interpret things through the frequency in which we already know. This is actually a really good example. When people are like, I don't know why I can't accept compliments. Here's why. It's because if you receive a compliment that's really, really nice and you're like, no, like not me. You immediately try to like rationalize it or make it go away or downplay it like it's no big deal. It's because someone spoke to you highly of you. And if you're treating yourself lowly, there's just a big gap. So that's why we'll do it to ourselves. When we basically you're lowering the kind of like the frequency of the compliment by downplaying it. It's easier for you to digest. Another example is I used to do this to myself so badly and so sad. But let's say something really exciting and amazing happens to you that you've wanted for so long. Like you got the promotion, I remember I got into business school or you manifested something, whatever it is. People will often not let themselves get too excited about it or explain away why it happens and thinks it was a fluke. And it's because this amazing event happened that we wanted so badly. But if we think negatively or about ourselves in like unsupportive ways, right? We don't think we deserve it. And so there's just this mismatch. And so I remember there's so many things that I was excited about when I was younger and I wouldn't let myself celebrate or I wouldn't tell people, or I would also not tell people if I had big goals that I wanted to go after. And it's because I didn't want to be rejected. And even when I got it, there was too much of a mismatch. So how we talk about ourselves and think about ourselves is indicative of so much more than just the words that we sometimes say in our heads. It literally affects our interpretation of the world. In part, how you keep confidence high, going back to the question, I'm a rambler, how you keep confidence high despite external circumstances. I almost want to say that it's our beliefs, our identity, our self-image has to be stronger than those external events. We have to be super solid. We want to raise it and we want to be super solid in it. And oftentimes when clients come, they've done the belief work. That's really, them just trying a new belief a few times here or there, and then getting discouraged if it doesn't stick, or they're doing the belief work just because they want the result of money, of clients, of whatever, or they honestly just don't want the beliefs themselves. Another thing that I see happen is clients they try to raise their beliefs, but their doubt is so strong that they get discouraged and start to develop that new story, kind of like the leapfrogging that I was saying. They start to develop a new story that they'll never be able to change their thoughts. So whenever they try in the future, they've already decided it won't work. And so we sometimes approach confidence from all of those places that I just mentioned. So we will try to build a confidence, but then give up on the skill. Because kind of like I said earlier, confidence is a skill, it's practice. It's kind of like when you're not instantly good at something, so you just quit, never try it again. That happens a lot with confidence, and none of that's going to be effective. What I would say to help start, make it unwavering, keep it high despite external circumstances, let me say this too. I want you to build it in the lows. You have to want to feel better about yourself. I want to say it again. You have to want to feel better about yourself. A lot of times people just want the success that they think confidence will bring, but we have to think we're worthy of feeling better about ourselves. And we have to be willing and open to see ourselves differently. And a lot of people, we don't think about it that way or aren't there yet. So you have to have this like inkling, just the smallest little inkling of an idea that you can feel different, which I think everyone here does because you're literally here. Even if you're not sure how yet. And I think that's the starting place for it. And then from there, like I said, it's practicing, questioning the status quo. So if something, let's say, happens with the client, instead of immediately jumping to personal and letting that story stay, from this new understanding, ask yourself, how do I want to feel about this? What's a more empowering truth? What's the audacious version of me feel about this and herself in the situation? And working on raising kind of that like negative frequency. And so even if you're let's say you're down here and you ask yourself these questions and your answer is here, even just having that awareness of that gap will start to help you bring it up, instead of just, again, staying with just taking it personal and all that status quo. It's just making the small shifts and closing that gap and practicing again in small instances and also really big ones. What I want to say is becoming unwavering is not an instant, it's not an instant switch. It's a skill that you hone through continually choosing yourself and having better thoughts about yourself with time. And it's okay if you don't immediately believe them. I think people think they're supposed to immediately believe them and you're not going to, and that's okay. The goal and where I've really tried to get myself is now if there's big events that happen are very dysregulating, I know how to feel the same about myself. And that's what I want for all of you is you know how to feel the same about yourself in the highs and in the lows. And so I know how to still choose myself. I know how to still love myself. I know how to still have my own back. And yeah, it'll take a little practice to get there, but it doesn't have to be this like strenuous or like hard, horrible, lengthy process. You have, going back to a couple of the other questions, you have so many opportunities every single day to start doing this. Okay, it's hard to separate yourself from your business when you're the brand. People aren't just buying your service, they're buying you, your story, your ideas. So it feels like they're rejecting you as a person when they're actually just rejecting the business. Definitely just a mental block I'm working through as I'm starting my business. I never think of anyone rejecting me. I've said this on Unlimited, I think it is, but I've never have the feeling of someone rejecting me, even if they've said no, even if they don't invest in me, because I'm not rejecting myself at all. And I don't take it personally, even if it's me, because I think the way I've said it in the past is like, oh, Danielle, can I pick on you? Okay, cool. I'm gonna pick on Danielle. Danielle, the first time she was asking about rejection, and this is a very similar question. Danielle, when she first came to me, said no. She was like, no, I'm not going to invest yet. And because I'm not rejecting myself or thinking, because usually what happens is if someone rejects you, we then go into thoughts of like, we weren't good enough. And like, maybe our price was too high and they went with someone else. It must be because they're better than me. And we go into all of those thoughts. But when you're not rejecting yourself, their rejection won't phase you because again, we're only going to absorb what we're already feeling. And so if I'm not rejecting myself, her rejection, it doesn't mean anything because again, Danielle, she didn't know me well enough to actually reject me as a person. I instead tell myself a more empowering story. She just wasn't ready yet, or it wasn't the best choice for her. It just wasn't the best choice for her at the time. And because I have the story of, it's not about me. It wasn't the best time for her, or it wasn't the best choice for her at the time. Here she is. She came back. She's an Unlimited. And because I had that story, I can keep showing up and loving on her and giving value and still caring about her as a person instead of being like, she rejected me, she didn't think I was good enough, and pulling back. And so definitely work on, not rejecting yourself at all, so that when things happen, you're not taking them personally, because it's not personal. They don't know you. They want to love you. They really do. And I always think everyone wants to love you and support you and be there for you. And if they're showing interest, it's because they're interested. They didn't reject you because they weren't good enough. It's just I like to tell myself the story. They weren't ready. It's not the best choice for them. I always like people to make the more empowering choice for them, whether it's me or not, and trusting they'll either come back or it wasn't meant to be. And so I just don't make it about me. Do you have any tips on taking action to close the gap between where you are now and your audacious dream? How do you keep that momentum going? So let's first talk about momentum. I don't think of momentum. Okay, so usually people think of momentum as almost this resulting effect of taking action, which I feel like that's just usually, maybe that's the definition of how we're taught, but I look at momentum as a feeling. Momentum is just a feeling to me. And so typically the mentality when you look at it as a resulting thing is, once I do something consistently, that will create momentum. And when I have momentum, then I'll feel confident. I hear that all the time from clients, which is the way my brain is interpreting that is almost like, once I take action for a prolonged period of time that I think is worthy of feeling good about myself and what I'm doing, and without letting myself down or slowing down, then I'll feel confident in my ability to create the results that I want and hit this audacious dream. That's such an uphill battle in my head to take those actions. And so I feel like if I put an example on this, I feel like that's saying, once I go to the gym 5 days a week for a month, then I'll feel good about myself and confident that I can have the body or results that I want. And usually what then happens is that if you miss, you'll get discouraged. You'll tell yourself you're never going to create the results you want, and then you quit, or you just keep having to restart. Versus if you look at momentum as a feeling, it's something you can create. So then it's like, cool, I went to the gym, I've got this, I'm feeling good, I can do this. And on the days you don't go, it's like, amazing, I've been going, I'm doing great, I've got this. It's not a problem. I can keep feeling this way. I can keep it up. So momentum is a feeling that you could, if you look at it this way, then it's a feeling that you can always choose to create for yourself. And you don't need to rely on taking action and all of that to create it. Tips on taking action to close the gap between where you are now and your audacious dream. Become just like the version of yourself who's created the dream, which is a huge focus in Audacious. And so if it flips the idea on its head that once I do this, or once I achieve this, or look like this, or have this, then I'll feel confident. And instead helps you become the most audacious, confident version of yourself now, which only makes it infinitely easier to create your most audacious dreams. And so I feel like that's how I've achieved so much so fast is I've worked on gaining audacious confidence, self-trust, and identity back when I didn't have any of the results that I had, so that I could become the person where it's much easier to create the audacious dream. And it happens in a fraction of the time. And so yesterday I was talking to a private client about how her 5-year plan happened in 2 years and why that probably happened, because she was really taking the action and already becoming that person. Another private client had this she had this epic 5-year plan and this was an audacious plan when she first started with me. And she never thought it was going to happen even in 5 years. And it happened in 5 months. And then another client, it's all the same thing. Another client had this 20-year dream of publishing one book. And within 4 months of working together, she's a full-time author. So it's because of the concept in Audacious where it helps you full-time become that version of yourself who's full-time confident with this unwavering self-trust and who takes this unapologetic action. When you can become that person, it's very easy to close the gap because again, you're willing to leap without a net. You trust yourself to go really big and maintain confidence the whole time doing it. Something that I've heard a lot is people feel there's this monumental 10-year gap between who they are and who they want to be, kind of the version who has that audacious dream, right? Is the only real difference between them, who you are and that version of yourself, is just the thoughts that you have about yourself. The only difference between you today and your most audacious self that you've been practicing stepping into the last 2 weeks in this challenge is how you see yourself. And I know that sounds so simple, but when you no longer have the fears around whether you're going to fail or what people will think, and you can make stronger decisions and you put yourself out there and you're no longer exhausting all that energy, second guessing, that slows you down and you're not worried about the rejection, the failure, and you bank on yourself instead of betting against yourself because you've changed your mind about yourself and now choose yourself, you move so much faster. So closing the gap, to kind of sum that up, closing the gap is really about changing how you see yourself and you trust yourself and believe in yourself, treat yourself. And all of that is covered in Audacious. So the next question that I got says, I am stoked about these. Where is it? I am stoked about these challenges and the community. Thanks. I'm happy. Once the challenge is over, how do I continue working on myself, putting in the effort required to be audacious and telling myself I belong in the room? So again, it seriously makes my world to know that you guys are loving this and getting the growth you desired. 2 things I want to say. You can use the Audacity challenge over and over and over whenever you need it. And I have clients who have used it multiple times, and the growth that you have each time is new and bigger. And so the beauty of the way I've built, honestly, all of my programs, I'm very intentional to do this, is that it's not the same material over and over. The amount of breakthroughs you have, the amount you put yourself out there, the more confidence you'll gain each time going through it continues to grow and deepen. So keep using the Audacity challenge whenever you need it. And again, I know this is going to sound like me just promoting Audacious. And yes, it is. But I also genuinely believe that this course is the culmination of 3 years of what I've coached on and taught and helped women with, but also my confidence journey. And so I genuinely believe it's the best thing you can do. It's all the things I needed back in the day when I was starting to grow my confidence, and my clients have needed to become their most unapologetic, audacious selves. And so I would say join Audacious if you're considering. And that's going to be the best way, I think, to continue working on yourself, putting the effort in wholeheartedly believing and living like you belong in the room and your own first choice and deserve all that you desire and can be whatever version of you that you want to be and have dreamed about. So I'll say again, from today until September 21st, Audacious is $888 and payment plans start at $288. And so if you can create $288 for the next 4 months, Audacious is your move. And I truly mean that and believe that. And so if you were, I'll say this to you, if you're even mildly intrigued by the Audacity challenge, Audacious is 100 times that. So again, in this challenge, you receive probably a total of 30 minutes of videos that are light and playful and exciting. And instead of that 30 minutes, Audacious is 30 plus videos. It's hours of insight. And I'm only going to continue building on those courses, on those videos. And they all help you truly implement, understand, embody, and become that version of yourself that you probably got a very slight taste of in this challenge. And so with that too, there will be monthly confidence calls just like this one, where every single month I'm going to answer any question, kind of literally like I've been doing here, about putting yourself out there, self-trust, all the things, giving you advice on anything you submit, and making sure you've got my brain on any confidence question that you've got. And there's also going to be a Slack community where you're going to celebrate, be celebrated, find those who unconditionally believe in you, support you, can cheer you on. And I'm also going to be dropping in that Slack channel with riffs, questions, and we'll really focus on celebrating you and your growth. Again, I'll say, when you're one of the first 20 people who joins, you're also receiving Audacious All In, that 2-week container where I'm going to coach you. And I'm also going to riff to you basically like this with everything that comes up for me and how I work through my doubt, and how you can work through your doubt with all the Audacious concepts once you're inside. And so I'd highly consider joining if you want those 2 bonuses. And if I'm going to say too, if you're in a place where you're unsure, just come talk to me, come DM me. Seriously. I'm happy to talk to you guys about it. If this is the right fit, if this is what you need, anything like that. Okay. Let me try and get one more question in for you guys. Okay. I really liked this question, so it's going to probably be a long one. How can I overcome feeling the need to constantly achieve and doing the absolute best all the time? I feel like I have such high standards and I shame myself. And she said, although perfectionism is actually the lowest standard you can have for yourself, as Tony Robbins says, which I remember that and I like that. And I shame myself all day long for not reaching them, not getting all the things I want done, not hitting my goals for the month, not achieving this, that, and the other. My partner is also a high achiever, and I feel like I'm letting him down constantly. Okay. This is such an insanely good question. And I feel like there's so many things in this one that I can answer. So I'm going to try and get to like all the little facets that I picked. I feel like I like could pick out of this and break each one down. So I feel like what was in this question too was where your worth comes from, high standards versus high expectations, striving for more versus feeling enough now and feeling lack. And so all those things, I'm going to get to them. So with where your worth comes from, let's kind of talk about that part in here. And so what feels like is kind of going on in this question is that part of your worth is probably being arrived from achieving, doing, or like you said, yes, perfectionism. And so the idea inherently in all of that I kind of have pictured in my head is once I achieve more, once I do more, am the absolute top of the expectations for myself, or am perfect, right? With the perfectionism, then I'll feel worthy. Then I can be proud of myself. Then I can feel good. But the sneaky thing about this is that it's so laced in shame that it makes it near impossible for us to ever actually achieve it. And it's the way I always say with shame is like, it's trying to walk uphill, which can already be hard, right? But then adding 300 extra pounds on your back from the weight of the pressure, basically, and shame you're imposing on yourself. And we have to put those 300 pounds down to get where we want to go up that hill. That's kind of part of it. But also the even sneakier thing about this and perfectionism is that even if we do get all of the things done and hit our goals and do all the things, we're usually still not fully proud or happy because we've shamed ourselves so much that we struggle to accept the feelings of joy or pride or celebration, like I had mentioned earlier. And so what part of the solution is here is feeling enough now, and I'm going to talk about that in a second, not once we hit our goal for the month, or not once we do this or that, or once we get the things done. And so feeling enough now, even if none of those things happen. So how can you feel good about yourself now, even if those things don't happen? And so confidence in the low, I really think this confidence in the lows is, I think, one of the most powerful skills you can have as a person, and whole ass module in Audacious. And that's, I had to, even in my own journey, I built my confidence in the lows. And I think that's what made me so much stronger and makes me so much more confident and on fire when I'm in a high, is because I also know how to have it in a low. And so when we can feel at peace and okay with ourselves when you aren't doing those things, that will teach you, basically it'll help you decouple your worth from achievement or perfectionism. So that's kind of the first thing. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that, but I want to go into the high standards for expectations thing. A really good thing I think to focus on with any sort of expectation is, am I using this high expectation against myself? So many people convince themselves that they're successful because they're hard on themselves and have these high expectations. And I was one of those people too. And so once I worked on my confidence, I realized that all the years that I was shaming myself and being so hard on myself, I was actually, that shame, that 300 pounds was actually just slowing me down. And that was such a mind fuck to realize. And that I could have gotten so much farther if I didn't shame myself and instead motivated myself, believed in myself, kept my word to myself, not the shame, the 300 pounds. So like I still went really far, and all of you guys have too, but it's like you can go so much further when you put the 300 pounds down. And so where are you using expectations against yourself to shame yourself instead of to motivate, believe in yourself, and keep your word to yourself? Expectations, I think the like technical definition is like what we believe will happen or that will achieve, like for personal expectations, what we can achieve in the future. And so what often happens is when we don't hit it, we can shame ourselves for not being enough. Whereas like, this is just my personal definition, but I like to think of it as high stand, like hair flip high standards, where it's like, I'm worthy of this. Like I can create this. This is the level I want to be at and I'm going to work towards. And like, I know I can create this and this is going to be my new standard. And so that helps motivate my clients and myself more rather than use the high expectations against myself. Whatever definition of high standards, high expectations, what's actually important is how we treat ourselves through it. Motivate, uplift, believe versus shame. I'm not going to go find which episode it is, but it's something like, I think the title is like, if you pride yourself on being hard on yourself. So that's the episode about that. Third thing, striving for more versus feeling enough now. Okay, I want to talk more about this. Feeling more than enough now, whether you achieve or not, comes from deciding that you can be more than enough now, but it doesn't mean you don't strive. And so the examples that I gave when I talked to Unlimited about this were like, I like to learn how to be better at doing my makeup so I can look hotter. I always like to make more money. I'm always looking to be a better girlfriend, daughter, and friend. I'm always striving to be the best fucking person I can be for my clients. I'm always looking to get fitter, all the things. But the thing about that is I'm always striving. I always want to be the best I can be. But it's coming from a place of already knowing I'm enough now. So I want those things for various reasons, but not because I think they'll make me more worthy or like more lovable or better or more deserving or anything like that. I just want them because who doesn't want to be hotter, right? Who doesn't want to be a better friend? Who doesn't want to be more wealthy? All the things. But I'm still enough now. I still have to think I'm the whole package now. That's really the difference. It's like there's room for me to do better, to grow, to do all these things, but I'm not going to use the lack of that to shame myself that I'm not good enough. So I strive, I want to learn more, I want to refine my skills. I'm going to keep going after the growth and success, but not from the place of thinking it's going to make me from more worthy, not from the place of ever thinking it's going to make me feel more enough, because it won't. We'll just keep striving and trying to reach that enoughness when we could have just decided all the way back there. I want to be better. It doesn't make me more worthy. It doesn't make me more desirable. It doesn't make me anything, right? You just get to decide you're worthy now and that you're enough now. And so enough is like a very subjective thing. I think a good thing is like enough is usually determined by other people, society, what other people say. Reclaim your definition of enough. And I want your definition of enough to look like whoever the fuck you are right now. That's the thing. I want to clarify too, because I've had clients ask this. I truly had to decide I was enough back when I was the exact same person, brain, body, personality at my lowest. Like I had to decide I was enough then. And that's what's allowed me to grow into who I am today. And sometimes people will ask them like, oh, is it like now that you have these things, you feel enough? No, I had to do it back then without changing myself, because changing myself didn't work. I tried it for a really long time. Or without thinking changing myself would make me better. I just had to start deciding I was enough then. And when I felt enough as I was, it makes it so much easier. And there's less resistance to growing, to bettering myself, to getting all those things done that you want to get done in the day, because I'm already telling myself enough and not feeling like I have to do it to be worthy. And so this is such a big conversation in Audacious, feeling permanently enough, never second guessing your enoughness again. Like truly never, like that is my goal, is you never second guess your enoughness again. Loving yourself relentlessly, which is freeing up. So the amount of energy that people spend on like, am I going to be good enough? Am I going to be enough? Right? Shaming yourself, all of that energy that happens for us every single day, instead will go into getting further, more confident, all of that. And so the work in reality is focus on striving for more always, but no, none of it makes you more worthy. None of it makes you more deserving or better or anything like that. It's really just you wanting to be better because you want to be better, but you're already amazing and seeing yourself that way. Okay. the last thing I want to say with this one, sorry, this was a really long one. So feeling lack with like shame myself all day long for not reaching them. Something I want people to focus on is waking up and starting their day. I'm not waking up and starting their day with lack and continuing that throughout the day. So I used to wake up and I would always be like, okay, I didn't get enough sleep, or I didn't have enough time for my morning routine, or I didn't go to the gym like I said I was. And so it's just all that lack as soon as I wake up, and then all throughout the day, and then going to bed, it's like, I didn't make enough progress today. I didn't get that thing done. I'm not closer to the goals that I have. I didn't do enough today. That's a really big conversation that we're going to have in the course too, is getting rid of the lack and not seeing the world through a filter of not enough anymore. And so the way I've said this kind of in various ways today, but the way we talk to ourselves and treat ourselves and interpret how others see us, all of that matters. And it matters so immensely. I don't even know how to describe it, because it permeates even the first thought of like, I didn't get enough sleep, or I didn't do this enough today, or I didn't do that enough today. Right. When we're constantly thinking we're not enough or not doing enough is a big one for people. We're shaming ourselves. And when we're telling ourselves we're not good enough, then what we end up doing as a result of that is we'll stop putting ourselves out there as much. We will bet against ourselves. We won't celebrate ourselves. We won't think the amazing things we already do are enough, and it just spirals. And so that's what usually happens, versus if we can start to change how we see ourselves, treat ourselves, have our own back, which we show you in the course, we show you on Audacious, you're going to start thinking you're more than enough. You'll start putting yourself out there more and more, loving harder, going bigger. You'll bank on yourself. You'll celebrate yourself, which will grow your belief. And then you'll start to see all the amazing progress you have and continue to go after more. And I promise it's possible. I really do. I really thought that could never be, like what I just described could never fucking be me. I always thought I shamed myself. I always thought I'd be hard on myself. I loathed myself, feeling not enough. I literally felt like I had like not enough tattooed on my forehead that I always felt everyone knew about and I knew about. And like, I really thought that was going to be my life, but I changed it. And I changed it through all the ways that I had to teach myself that I've now put in the challenge, and it's light little ways, and 100 times more in Audacious. And so you can change yourself too. Okay. Let me know if you have questions on that. Any questions on this before I go to the difference between unlimited and Audacious? So what I'll say is that you could easily be in both. And there's also no overlap in either. So the videos, the curriculum in unlimited is completely different from that of Audacious. And so let me just kind of go through the overall features. So I'll speak to unlimited first. Unlimited is very much just for female founders for the most part, and it's a year long. So it's just a year, and it's really focused on audacious self-belief, yes, but also the skills you need to make yourself successful in business and achieve very fast in business. And it's a really big focus on confidently marketing yourself. And so you have community. We focus on emotional wealth builds financial wealth. That's a really big focus there. And you're getting coached by me multiple times a week. So it's very high touch. I know my unlimited clients insanely well. And so it's very, very high touch container where we're coaching a lot more. I'll also say Audacious is, you can kind of be in both, but the curriculums are different. And so we can talk about whichever one's best for you if you wanted to talk about that. But Audacious is purely confidence in putting yourself out there and feeling like you can fully go after what you want. And it's going to help you in dating. It's going to help you with your body image. It's going to help you feel that people like you. It's going to help you feel that you can go after anything you want. It's going to help you really just become that version of yourself in all areas of life. And a lot of what I have seen that my clients in Unlimited and private coaching and all the things have wanted is, how do you work through things, Makenzie? Like, what's your brain on this? And so everything about that is going into Audacious. And again, it's dating, life, business, career, all of the things, people pleasing, body image, all that. And so Audacious is the course. You're going to get so many videos. If you just want to watch me like riff, go off, see these videos, all of that, Audacious is really great for that. And you'll have monthly calls, but it's not coaching. It's more of like questions like this. It's that you get the monthly calls for life, but it's not coaching. So if you're like, I want high touch coaching with my business and also my confidence, Unlimited is really great. If you're like, I just want to go off on my confidence in all areas of life, full-time, become that person, which will also affect your business, I would definitely say Audacious. And so people can definitely be in both. I have people who are in Unlimited and also now in Audacious. People who I'm sure who will be in Audacious and then join Unlimited. Like, they're very different curriculums though. One is purely confidence, all about how to build your confidence, become that person, not waver on it. Whereas Unlimited is much more business, focusing on marketing, sales, growing your business and the skills to grow your business that way too. Hopefully that answers your question. But I'm happy. If you want to DM me, come DM me about it. I'm happy to talk to anyone about what is better for you. We have one more live on the 21st. But again, Audacious dropped today. 888 is the bonus price that you can only get for this week until the 21st. And then you can also become one of the first 20 people and get that Audacious all in, the 2 weeks of group coaching and riffing and hearing me go off and go all in on myself and see how I work through things and how I apply the Audacious concepts. If you're worried about that, you'll definitely get in the first 20 today. But if you're worried about if you'll get in, just come message me. I can let you know if you'll be in the first 20, but I highly recommend joining again. And also, again, if you want to join Unlimited, you can still very much join Unlimited, but curriculums are very different. There's only overlap of like one video, maybe two. 30 plus videos are never before seen. Okay, thanks for listening to these questions. We are going to drop part 2 of this episode tomorrow. If you haven't already, go to the show notes and join Audacious. I promise you are going to be kicking yourself if you aren't joining before the bonus price gets up and before you get to join the 2 weeks of bonus coaching. It's going to be the best coaching you've ever had. People often say that 15 minutes with me has changed their life. And so imagine 2 weeks of it where you're going to get not only hours and hours and hours, over 50 training videos, but also 2 weeks of coaching with me. And so go to the show notes, go join Audacious, and